The road to WrestleMania 42 is becoming more intense with every passing week, and what unfolded on WWE SmackDown in Raleigh, North Carolina has completely shifted the momentum in one of the most anticipated rivalries of the year. Rhea Ripley, fresh off her dominant victory at the Elimination Chamber, walked into the arena with confidence, determination, and a clear message. But by the end of the night, she once again found herself outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and laid out in the middle of the ring, as Jade Cargill and her newly formed alliance sent a brutal warning just weeks before their massive collision on the grandest stage. Coming into this episode, the tension between Ripley and Cargill had already reached a boiling point. Ever since Ripley secured her title opportunity, the two powerhouses have been locked in a war of words and physical confrontations that have only grown more personal and more dangerous. Both women represent dominance in its purest form, and neither has shown even the slightest sign of backing down. It felt like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, a rivalry built on pride, power, and the desire to prove who truly runs the women's division. But last week, everything changed. What initially appeared to be a straightforward confrontation turned into something far more calculated. When B-Fab and Michin made their way to the ring, there was uncertainty about their intentions. Fans weren't sure if they were there to even the odds, create chaos, or simply make a statement. Instead, what unfolded was a shocking alliance, as both women aligned themselves with Jade Cargill, forming what is quickly becoming one of the most dangerous factions on SmackDown. In an instant, the dynamic of this rivalry shifted from one-on-one competition to a numbers game that heavily favors the champion. This week, Rhea Ripley came out to address exactly that. Standing alone in the ring, Ripley didn't look shaken, she looked angry. There was a different energy about her, a sense that the attack from the previous week had only fueled her desire for revenge. She spoke with intensity, calling out Jade Cargill and demanding accountability for what had happened. It wasn't just about being attacked, it was about being blindsided, about being forced into a situation where the odds were stacked against her. Ripley made it clear that she wasn't going to let that slide. And right on cue, the response came. Jade Cargill stepped out, flanked by B-Fab and Michin, and the visual alone told the story. This was no longer just a champion defending her title, this was a leader commanding a unit. The confidence in Cargill's demeanor was unmistakable. She wasn't intimidated by Ripley's words. If anything, she seemed amused. The presence of her allies behind her only reinforced that confidence, creating a stark contrast to Ripley, who stood alone in the ring. The verbal exchange that followed was filled with tension. Ripley fired back with her usual aggression, refusing to be intimidated, while Cargill maintained control of the situation, choosing her moments carefully. It was clear that this wasn't just about physical dominance anymore. This was psychological warfare, with Cargill aiming to get inside Ripley's head while simultaneously weakening her before WrestleMania. Then came the twist. Cargill revealed that Ripley would be competing that very night. The announcement caught Ripley off guard, but she didn't hesitate. That's who she is, a competitor who thrives in the moment, who doesn't back down from a challenge no matter the circumstances. Her opponent, B-Fab, one of the very women who had attacked her the week before. As the match began, Ripley wasted no time asserting her dominance. From the opening moments, she controlled the pace, using her strength and aggression to overpower B-Fab. It looked like Ripley was not only seeking victory, but also sending a message. Every move carried intensity, every strike seemed personal. For a brief moment, it appeared that Ripley might overcome the odds, that she might be able to fight through the numbers game and come out on top. But this wasn't a fair fight. While Ripley focused on B-Fab, the real threat was waiting. At the perfect moment, when Ripley's attention was locked onto her opponent, Jade Cargill struck. The interference was sudden and devastating, completely shifting the direction of the match. The referee had no choice but to call for a no contest, but by that point, the damage had already been done. And then, just like the week before, it became a 3-on-1 assault. Cargill, B-Fab, and Michin surrounded Ripley, and what followed was a calculated beatdown designed to send a message loud and clear. Ripley fought back as best as she could, but the numbers were simply too much. Every time she tried to rise, another attack followed. The unity between the three women was evident, their coordination making it nearly impossible for Ripley to mount any meaningful offense. The crowd watched as one of WWE's most dominant stars was once again taken down, not because she wasn't strong enough, but because she was outnumbered. It's a scenario that rarely happens to someone like Rhea Ripley, which is exactly why it feels so impactful. Seeing her laid out in the ring for the second consecutive week sends a powerful message. This is not the same fight anymore. For Jade Cargill, this is a masterclass in strategy. She understands that going one-on-one with Ripley is a dangerous proposition. Ripley thrives in those situations, feeding off the energy of direct competition. So instead, Cargill has changed the rules. By forming this alliance, she has created a buffer, a shield that protects her while simultaneously wearing Ripley down. It's not just about winning at WrestleMania, it's about ensuring that when the match happens, Ripley isn't at 100%. The emergence of this faction adds an entirely new dimension to SmackDown. B-Fab and Michin, both of whom have had their own battles with Cargill in the past, now stand beside her, united under a common goal. It's a surprising development, one that came out of nowhere, but it works because of how effectively it has been executed. In just 2 weeks, they have established themselves as a dominant force, capable of taking out even the toughest opponents. For Ripley, the challenge is now greater than ever. It's no longer just about preparing for a championship match. It's about surviving the weeks leading up to it. Every appearance, every match, every moment carries the risk of another ambush. The psychological toll of that kind of pressure can be just as damaging as the physical attacks, and that's exactly what Cargill is counting on. But if there's one thing that defines Rhea Ripley, it's resilience. Being taken out 2 weeks in a row doesn't make her weaker, it makes her more dangerous. It adds fuel to the fire, giving her even more motivation to fight back. Fans can already feel that shift, rallying behind her as she vows to get her revenge. There's a sense that when Ripley finally gets her moment, it's going to be explosive. The question now is how this all plays out as WrestleMania 42 approaches. Will Ripley find a way to even the odds, perhaps by bringing in allies of her own? Or will she choose to face the challenge head-on, embracing the chaos and proving that she can overcome any obstacle placed in her path? WWE has built this storyline in a way that leaves multiple possibilities open, keeping fans guessing about what might happen next. What's certain is that the rivalry between Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill has evolved into something far greater than a simple title match. It's a battle for dominance, a clash of ideologies, and now, a war involving multiple players. Every week adds another layer, another reason to be invested, another moment that pushes the story forward. As the lights of WrestleMania grow brighter, the stakes continue to rise. Ripley may have been taken down twice, but she's not out, not even close. If anything, she's just getting started. And when the time comes, when the bell rings on the grandest stage, all the chaos, all the attacks, and all the tension will lead to one defining moment. A moment where Rhea Ripley gets her chance.